Hello, BAME Farm fans. It's oil change day on the skid steer. As you can see, I did do a little bit of staging because I already have the oil and the filters out here. Just this makes the video go a little bit smoother, I guess. Everything's already staged, all the filters. Now we're gonna get down here and find the drain plug, which is right up there, and we're gonna get some help from the trusty, ever-present farm dog Eva. Yes, thank you for the licks. So up in there, it's a 3/8 hex, or inverted, or whatever you want to call that, in the darkness. So here we go on a titanic struggle to get that out. And hopefully, the good news is the dog can't get down here to help. I don't need that much help. Hopefully I can see that. And hopefully it's lefty-loosey. Oh, good. They didn't drive it in with too much force. See, that's one thing I usually do, is I live by, if it ain't tight, it ain't right. So we'll see how tight the oil filters and stuff are, because usually I'm pretty good at getting those on too tight, but they don't come off and they don't leak, right? Kind of the same thing with oil plugs. Now it's feeling floppy loose. Oh yeah, there we go. All nice and black and oily. That'll keep the dust down in the driveway. Oh boy, I need a lot of rags. At least we have a drain hole there. And I've heard a lot of skid steer folks, more commercial types than farms, just pull the plug and let it rip. I probably need to pull something so we can get more oil. That wasn't a lot of oil. However, I know it's been low. I've been putting off putting more oil in it because I know we were going to change oil here soon. Well, we have the bottom draining. So now we'll try our best to get the filter off. Right in here. How's that view? That's definitely a close-up view, all right. So now this had Napa filters on it, which is fine and dandy. And we went with the Wix filters because, you know, they had that sale. And I didn't realize when Napa has their sale. Oh, geez. Mel, I might be able to get this without a wrench. That is just lovely. See, it's going to be tighter than that when it goes back on. I'll tell you that much. I don't think it's one of our leaks. You can see a little bit of wetness right there. It's funny, machines leak more with age than humans. I don't know, I guess some humans do, we'll say. But if you're a human male with age, you have trouble leaking. Ha ha ha, that's our joke of the day. Oh yeah, see, the joy of the air-cooled engine is it cooks the oil. Well, that's gonna leak some too. Guess we could let that drain. I'll do my best to wipe off. There shouldn't be any dirt. I should have washed around that well enough. Let's take my finger and push any schmutz away. Make sure the oil gasket came off clean. That's a big thing. I haven't had it happen too often. And I'll name a brand. I changed something with a Fram oil filter once, and it left the gasket on the engine, so that's obviously not desirable or good. Now we need a little bit of oil, which is dripping out. We gotta lube the gasket, get that on our finger. I'm sure most of the time they prefer fresh oil, but oil is oil. It does help if it's fresh. This is a the gasket is non-pressure lube, if that makes sense. You're not lubricating two metal surfaces. You're just trying to keep the gasket from sticking to the engine. I guess when I'm done, I'll have to grab a Sharpie to record hours and date on this. This hadn't been changed since, I'm guessing, it said 1-14. But when we got it, there wasn't hardly any hours on it. So this thing hasn't run much the last 5 years. I guess nobody wanted to burn the cheap gas when there was mean tweets. But yeah, this thing burns through gas. Gas engines will burn about twice as much fuel as a similar sized diesel. I guess we'll call that quits. We'll make it look like we're clean with our oil changes. Take a rag, wipe that up. And I can actually see the number, which is good. Because when I go and make the filter list next year, I like to be able to see the numbers. Okay, I've got my cutesy little bucket that fits in here perfectly. It'll catch the oil that's not clean. I'm not worried about saving what will hopefully only be a few drips. Maybe more, we don't know yet, but we will find out. Hang on. There we go. Uh-oh. This one's a wee bit tighter than the engine oil filter, because we are smashing in the side good. Uh-oh. Well, whoever changed this filter wasn't the one who changed the engine filter. This could be interesting. We hopefully don't have to destroy the filter off. Theoretically, it's a closed system and should be okay. But still, we've done some work to the hydraulic pumps, so we definitely want to change these. And let's see how bad I can collapse the filter before it turns. This is, yeah, lefty-loosey. So my methods for destroying a filter off, the next thing would be to try jabbing a screwdriver through it. Try down here a little lower, closer to the base. Okay, we're getting some movement. So the biggest thing is, we get to a point where we were collapsing so far that we were about to over-center the filter wrench, that we weren't doing much. I don't know, this isn't originally bent so bad. This filter wrench was around. I don't know how it got flattened as such, probably from a difficult to get off filter that flattened that out. But it does help now, I guess, a little bit. It collapses the filter in, so that gives you more friction than just being a smooth round circle. Spinning. Well, here it finally comes off. This filter, I'm about to show off the beveled edge. I've never really seen that before. Most of them are a flat fit. That's probably why this one was so hard, was the way the edge is slanted. And when you screw it on, how tight it gets, because it's not meeting flat on flat. It's kind of like a wedge type system, like a tie rod end bolt, how it wedges in the hole, something like that. And this other hydraulic filter is what I call a canister type. Got to pull the paper element out and replace that. I'm curious why there's two separate ones. There was some schmutz in that. I guess one comes off the pump for the hydrostat, and the other one comes off the pump that runs the boom. I got to replace that O-ring. Got to search way up in there. It wasn't too bad. Didn't lose too much oil, but I got to put a lot in, and we'll see that at the end. I discovered a small leak on the bottom of the skid steer that's in the tank, and it also has to do with the frame. That'll be a fun video someday, but not now. About this whole operation is you guys aren't going to see much than me struggling to get this thing in and hopefully not getting all covered in oil in the meantime. That's a foregone conclusion. Come on. Okay, that looks close. It's not that close. Uh-oh. Oh, we're gonna earn our bath after changing the oil today. Come on. Feels like it's starting. Whew. Okay. Who knows what too tight is, but we're gonna go past it. Okay. Before I forget, we're gonna do the air filter. Yeah, I already had that loose. Sorry, I didn't let you guys see me twist that off. Now, one terrible realization I had is that this didn't have an inner air filter, just an outer. So that is lovely. See if that affects how it runs, if it restricts airflow anymore. Yeah, it's kind of dusty, dirty. Now, this filter is not gonna get dirty from dust so much. We're not out there doing tillage. It's a nice bright white filter. Yeah, it's not gonna get dirty from, that was backwards. Because this is the wing nut. I don't know why they put a wing nut. Let's just say we don't have a wing nut, but this wing nut has a special centering feature, and the hole in the center of this filter is obviously too big for our threads there. So go ahead and do that. The inner one's tight. There's plenty of room between these two. Slide on a nice, new, bright, clean air filter externally. There's that. And since we don't have a second wing nut, I'm using a regular nut, but now I realize I need a regular washer to go over that washer there, since I don't have the proper wing nut to seal that in. Now I wonder if there will be more constricted airflow because we have the proper two filters now, that maybe this thing will idle slower, because after you get it started, man, this thing just goes off to the races. Which, that reminds me, I mentioned how it kind of takes off. I probably need to check the oil in the governor. Probably should change that. I mean, the governor on this isn't much more than being able to just keep it running, like sensing that you need more fuel. The throttle on this doesn't do much for changing speed, other than when you're going to go out working, you give it more throttle, which all that does for the throttle wise is tells the governor to respond. It doesn't, or at least to my experience, hasn't done anything to change engine speed. The only time this runs slow is right after you first start it up. And then after that, all bets are off. Now I might hate myself for this, not having the proper wing nut. Who knows if it's still available, but we've got a whole bin full of nuts in there that we can use a wrench on to just get this thing extra super tight, so we're really annoyed with ourselves somewhere down the line. But at least we have a fresh, clean filter. Most of the dirt in there is probably, I'm sure this was used in a dusty situation, not too often. Maybe moving hay. I have taken it out in the field once in the spring while we were tilling to move branches to the edge. Mostly what you're probably going to have to deal with is just exhaust. Hopefully it doesn't suck exhaust back in, because the exhaust, it does blow out the back, but maybe you get a breeze and it's blowing it back forward or something crazy. After a bit of investigation, the governor is probably internally lubed, because it connects, we'll say, by either chain or gear on the top there. So we have lovely conventional 30-weight motor oil. I just ripped the sticker off. Nothing fancy about it. And we can sing our favorite song, Pour Some Oil on Me, instead of pouring some sugar. This is a bit of a guess and check operation. I am not sure what the capacity is, so we're going to put some in and check the dipstick. Probably a lot more than what was in it, because it was a little low on oil. I hate adding oil to things when you're like, well, I'm going to change the oil soon, and you put a quart of oil in, only to change the oil in like a week. Well, that's an oil film. I found out through some research in the manual that they cram 6 quarts of oil in here. So I need to put some hydraulic fluid in it. This uses automatic transmission fluid. And back in the day, when this thing was new, they recommended Dextron 2. That, of course, has been probably updated. Pick a number to something well beyond Dextron 2. Probably we're up to 3 or 4 or whatever by now. And I'm sure it's gonna take a little bit. Even if it doesn't, we don't have to fill anything. We're just gonna pull up right here, stick our hose in, and pump away, which is not gonna work very well until I get this random piece of angle iron that it's missing some pieces. Works perfectly for getting that started. Okay, that should be loose. Just enough to let stuff flow in and out. Okay. Now let's pump. Luckily, we're supposed to be able to see our fluid level on the side there. Come on, you can do it. Hope it doesn't take that long to get fluid up the tube. It's supposed to have 35 gallons in it. This is not a new drum. This drum is full of drags. Hopefully that's not a problem. Come on. There we go. There. Isn't that just a lovely sound? Well, it's red like automatic transmission fluid is. You can hear the hiss. There we go. Just go and take that little cap off back there and pump away. Stuff's awfully gurgly, we'll say.